Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says her relationship with the National Emancipation Support Committee has been irreparably damaged. Asked about reports that the committee's Asha Kambon believed the Prime Minister had committed to attending the Emancipation Day function, the Prime Minister instead turned her attention to the treatment of MP and Minister of Culture Michelle Benjamin during the launch of Emancipation Day earlier in that day, at which the committee was present. The PM said, quote, "I have no respect for that organization anymore," end quote. She accused the committee of failing to intervene as Michelle Benjamin was subjected to verbal attacks, arguing organizers remained silent because of Benjamin's perceived political affiliation. Persad-Bissessar said, quote, "Michelle was allowed to be abused because they did not see her as a representative of the African community. They saw her as my daughter," end quote. The Prime Minister also rejected concerns raised by opposition leader Penelope Beckles about growing national division. Instead, she accused the PNM and its supporters of promoting racial hatred over the Emancipation weekend. Persad-Bissessar said, quote, "This version of the PNM under Penelope Beckles is the most hateful, racist and divisive," end quote. She claimed the attacks extended beyond herself to others she said were perceived to support the UNC. Adding, quote, "What they did to Michelle Benjamin and Selwyn Cudjoe over the Emancipation weekend is disgusting," end quote. On the economy, the Prime Minister defended the government's employment record despite CSO data showing roughly 6,000 job losses in the first quarter of this year. She argued the figures reflected the dismantling of criminal networks rather than a weakening of the labor market. She said, quote, "People are continuing to be employed in actual jobs," end quote. And she added, quote, "Many drug trafficking business fronts have closed and others have been forced to downscale," end quote. And she had a blunt response for those who believe their concerns are being ignored. Persad-Bissessar said, quote, "All that freeness for PNM supporters that hard-working people had to pay for with their taxes is over." The opposition People's National Movement had previously called for greater national unity. It had not responded to the Prime Minister's latest comments up to news time. Urvashi Tawari, Rupnarayan, TV6 News.